In this video, we are going to learn about refs. So, a ref in React is used as a term for a reference to actual DOM which is rendered by the React. So what is happening is that we earlier discussed, so this is class based component, okay. So we earlier discussed that let's say if some JSX is rendered, then internally this is eventually rendered to the DOM something like this, right? Now you might be aware that this thing is not HTML, this thing is JSX, that is fine. This thing is also not obviously HTML nodes. The actual rendered HTML nodes is these, right? So what is happening is that these are actually taken care by React, and React uses something called virtual DOM, and it takes a different diff, and then it sees that React sees that what are the things to render and what are the things to re-render while the component is being re-rendered. Then what are the things to change in the DOM. So eventually what is happening that the actual internal DOM is never coming into the picture while we are handling React, right? But right now we are saying about ref, and ref is something about reference to actual DOM, right? So what is going on? So see, most of the cases you will never need a direct reference to internal DOM, this DOM. So this DOM, this is HTML DOM, right? So this DOM's reference, so you remember in CSS earlier in while DOM APIs we were studying, that point of time we learned about something called like document.getElement by id, and we got exact DOM reference, right? Once we started with React, we never did something like that, right? But here again we are going back to that semantic because of a few reasons. So what can happen that most of the times you might not need the reference to DOM, but there can come a few times when you need to let's say call some function which is only available on the actual DOM reference itself, that is not part of the React API, right? Then what to do? The only way is to get the reference to the internal DOM. So actually refs are a way in which React provides us that mechanism to get the reference of that node, okay. I'll give you an example. So let's say component did mount is there in this component, and let's say some div is there, okay, and this div has something, let's say hello there, okay. And then what is happening is that inside here we are having id is equal to, let's say this is my div, okay. Now let's not have a space. Now this my div, we can, like normal JavaScript, we can here also do something like el is equal to document dot get element by id, and in id we can pass this thing, okay. And if we print this this el thing, then you'll see something that what you're getting. You'll see that essentially you're getting the reference to the DOM only, right? Because when you're printing el, then you see that you're getting the DOM element div, right? So this is working fine, right? But the idea is that this should not be the way in which you want to access DOM. Why? Because you understand that this thing is rendered and being taken care by React through virtual DOM, and here we are directly trying to get access to the DOM through DOM APIs directly. So most of the cases it will work, but React cannot guarantee that, because sometimes React might re-render a new version of the DOM, and then maybe that this reference is pointing to the previous version or something. So most of the times it will work, but the suggestion is that you should not rely on this. Rather, if you need access to the actual internal DOM reference, then you should use an API which is provided by React itself, and that is called ref. Okay, so let's firstly start with this class based components, and later we will see that how to do the same in functional component, okay. So right now let's comment this. This is not what we want to do. The thing what we want to do is that let's see. So let's firstly call props, and we'll have to do that on parent component also. So let's do super props, and then here is the part. Here we can create an this instance, some field we can create. So in general you can create it anywhere, but in general, if we are creating some reference, and let's say we will have to access this, let's say from here to somewhere there, right, somewhere else, right, then the most obvious thing is that store it in some instance variable or field, right? So that should be fine. So here is the API. The thing is that you have to call react dot create ref. Okay, so this is the syntax. There is also another syntax where instead of using react dot create ref, you could have called this named import create ref. You can use like this also, but generally I use directly on react object itself. So react dot create ref, you can do like this. Okay, now let's print this. Let's print this. What is this ref thing? Okay, so we can see that this thing is null. Okay, okay, that is fine. So essentially this is started, this is initialized with null value. That is fine. Actually it is not initialized with null value. It is an object whose current, it has a prop, it has an attribute current, and that current value is null. Okay, and essentially all the refs, the actual data, either the DOM reference or null, anything will be at current only. Okay, so we'll see later that the way in which this will be used is anything the reference dot current. Okay, but yeah, we have just created. What is its use? The use is that what you can do is that if you wanted to get reference of this div, then rather than doing something like get element by id or something, you use a syntax something like this: ref equal to, and in this you pass this dot myref, and this name can be anything, abc. Then here also this dot abc you have to use, right? So this is what you do. Let's try again. What is the value? So still we are getting null, right? Why? Because while this instance of this component is being created, that time there is no DOM, nothing has been rendered, so this has to be null, right? When this will be rendered, after that component did mount will be called, right? Let's try to print the same thing here, and for the sake of differentiation, let's put a double equal here. Okay, now you see that earlier it was null in constructor, but in component did mount, this thing is coming to that diff thing, and this is coming because of this only, right? If I did not set something like this, then nothing will change in my ref, right? It will be always null, right? So the entire point is that when this JSX is being rendered to the DOM, then if somewhere ref is there, then the variable which is passed, that is assigned the actual DOM reference to that of that element inside this variable, provided this is a ref element, right? So what happens is that you can see that there is no type of this ref in general. Like if it is div, then this will be div. Let's say later we will see that, let's say this is p tag or input tag, whatever it is there, wherever this thing is being used in that variable, automatically a reference to that whole element automatically comes, which is what you are seeing here. Okay, so you have seen that it only appears in once it renders. Okay, so essentially what is happening is that when so in the constructor this is null. When the component renders, after that, in let's say in component did mount or component did update, always you will have the reference to that particular element on which the ref is applied, and after that when the component unmounts, then again this becomes back to null. But anyways, that is not needed, because when the component unmounts, then nothing to worry about, because we are not anyway going to use later after that this thing, so it doesn't matter. But just for the information, I told you that as component unmounts, then it again becomes null. Okay, but it will be available only after first time it has rendered. Okay, so at least one time it has rendered, which means that in component did mount is the first place where it can be seen, and after that in component did update, and everywhere it can be remained to be seen. Okay, apart from that, you should see one more thing. So when I so you can see that this div id is this, and ref is this. Okay, so let's try to see the actual element which is rendered. So inside here, if you see, then you will see that id is equal to my div is there, but there is nothing like ref or something, and that is expected, right? Because in actual HTML there is no such attribute like ref or something, right? So if you remember, there was a similar property like this. Earlier we had key, right? So like key was used essentially just by React. Similarly, this ref thing is also used internally by React. Actually, it never goes outside in the DOM. It is never emitted in the DOM. It is just something which is internal to React, and that is what it is used for. Okay. So that is the thing. But ID, whatever other attributes are there, they are being spitted away. That is fine. Okay. Now you could see that yeah, this is something, and I also got this thing, right? Is this EL and this? So first of all, let me tell you that whatever we are printing right now. So this is like let me show you. So this whole thing is current. So let's remove the current for now. Okay, which means that rather than this, let's directly get current, which means that earlier it was null and now you are getting this DOM reference. That is fine. Let's remove from constructor because obviously it will be null, but let's focus on this. So this thing essentially is whatever. So EL is equal to this thing, and if you print EL, then you are going to see that reference to that element on whatever the ref is applied. But we saw a similar thing here also, right? Instead of this, if we remember, if we earlier printed this thing, then we are also getting this reference, right? Just to prove the point that both of them are exactly same or not, let's have this EL and this, let's have this EL2, and let's see that are they same. And you'll see that it is printing true, which means that actually whatever this actual DOM API is giving you the reference, the React API using create ref is also going to give you exactly the same thing. Okay, so which means that anything which you could do here, that you could do here also. Okay, so for our purposes, we will not use this, we will directly use this, because this is as good as this, and this is the official way of accessing DOM reference by React API. So this is the way in which React will guarantee that it will always work fine. Okay, and just to show you the difference, that here like there was nothing dot current or something, right? Here it directly gave you that reference. Here just you have to remember that whatever the reference is there, actually dot current is the prop is the attribute where that particular reference is available. Okay, so this is fine. Now okay, we have a current reference. Okay, now if let's see, if we want to do anything, which is officially something which has to be done on, let's say some DOM reference, let's say in MDN documentation somewhere you saw that there is something which has to be done in on some API, right? Then on some DOM API for a particular element reference, then exactly the same thing you could do here also. Let me prove the point. Before that, let me do one thing. So this thing hello there is printed, right? Let me firstly color this thing, and you should have a CSS module for this component, but the quick and dirty way to do that will be just here we can write, let's say background color is, let's say blue violet. Okay, and we are good to go. Okay, let's say for simplicity make the color white or something so that it is more legible. Okay, so you can see that this thing is there. Now why I just colored this, because I was trying to show you of some random API which is any random API which is available. So one of the APIs on which I wanted to give you example was if you have not seen this, then this is fine, but there is an API of DOM in which you can get the height and width of any element, which means that let's say this div element is there. So essentially this whole hello there thing is inside this div element. You want to know that, okay, this div when rendered inside browser, what is its height, what is its width, that is your requirement, and what is its position, everything. So those things come into something called MDN client rect. There is an API related to this. You will get this thing. So this is the thing. So you see that if you have a reference to a particular you can see reference to a particular element, then essentially you can call this function get bounding client rect on that, and you will get something. So let's see what it gives us. So what is the requirement? It has to be called on an element reference that was written in MDN, right? So let's exactly do that. So we will do something like element dot and this thing. Okay, this is already a reference. On that I can call this. Why I can call this? Because this is the official DOM API, and this is giving us proper DOM reference. So anything which is written in any of the documentations for the DOM API, that can also be applied here also, and that you can see here. You can see that you are getting this sort of object where it is showing you that at what position it is rendered, what is the width, what is the height. So for example, you can see that the height is 23.5. This height is 23.5 pixels, and the width is 687 pixels. So this much width is 687. If you change this to, let's say, this much, okay, then this 687 should be reduced, right? And now you'll see that this 687 is 636. So you can see that whatever is the width and whatever is the height, that is being given. This was just an example to show you that anything regarding all the DOM API. So for example, if you want to on the fly calculate the height and width, then you can use ref. That is one of the use cases, right? However, the most popular use case for reference to a particular DOM is something which is called focusing a particular input element. You understand, when you use input element inside JSX, which is going to be rendered inside HTML as input tag, then that element, let's say you want to focus on the fly. Now what is the way to focus? So you see that let's say MDN some element of focus you want to do, right? Then you'll see that I can call focus, but that focus I can call only when I have a reference to a particular HTML element. Again, this is exactly where this thing comes into picture, because this is a reference to a particular HTML element, right? Okay, so let's try this also. But the best way to demonstrate this will be some input element, right? So so let's remove this example for now. This style is no more needed, and rather than this, you can see that this ref was now pointing to div element. Now I'm removing this, and I'm having a input element, let's say with type text. Okay, and you know that if you don't have any type, then by default input type is text, that we know, right? But anyways, we are using ref here. And anyways, one more thing, this syntax you can also use in curly brace. Any variable or any constant can be used, or if you know that it is just a constant, just a text, then rather than this you could use directly like this also. Okay, so both of them are fine. Anyways, now before we do anything, let's firstly see that what is this EL. Okay, so earlier it was a reference to div. Now you see that it is reference to input, and this was what I was talking about, that there is no particular type of ref. Ref is a general data structure, and its current prop, its current attribute will point to the DOM reference of whatever the element on which the ref is used. So right now, now this ref is used. This ref name is important. This name has to be ref, right? This name can be anything, whatever you keep it, but this has to be ref. Okay, now you can see that this thing is now with this EL is now pointing to a particular input element, right? That is fine. And what are we trying to do? We see that when we land on this page, yeah, it is fine, but I want, let's say that when but automatically say if you type something, then nothing will happen because focus is not there on this input text, right? If you click here, then focus goes there, and then if you type anything, then it you can type, right? But initially the focus is not there. Let's say when you refresh again the focus is gone. If you click, then only the focus comes. Our requirement is that as soon as the page lands, which means that first time it renders, then automatically the focus should come here. That is our requirement. How to do that? Again, we just now saw that we just need reference to that, and we will call focus on that, and then it will work, right? So let's do that. So essentially what they're saying is that all you need to do is that take that element and call focus function on that, right? So right now you can see that when I am refreshing, nothing is happening. Now I'm saving this el.focus, I'm saving this, and now you can see that the focus is there. See, even if you refresh, the focus is here. And again, let's say there are 4 input elements, does not matter, and the first one only you need to focus, right? Then just take the reference of the first input and do in component mount. As soon as it mounts, you will have the reference. You call el.focus, and this will be done. Okay, so this is the most important, like not most important, but most popular use case of ref. Okay, that is fine. Now, so we'll also see that when when we are changing various things in the DOM, then how those changes apply to particular React references. Which means that it is not some hard and fast rule that once this ref is attached here, then it will remain here only, right? It can happen that let's say something happened, and in the next re-render this is now pointing to something else. And how can that happen? That can happen because of let's say some variable. So let's have something called something flag. So let's say this dot state is equal to, and that flag, let's say that flag is false. Okay, and what I can do is that let's comment this for now, and let's say you have a set timeout, and what will happen is that in, let's say, 2 seconds we will change something. What we are going to do is that we will change that false to true. So this dot set state, and that let's say flag will now become true. Okay, or better would have been toggling, right? So let's do that. So yeah, so let's say this is the current flag, and then flag will be not a flag. Okay, so so what will happen, that initially false, which means that this flag will come as, this variable will come as a true, right? And then after that I am setting flag to whatever the current value was there. I'm just toggling that. Okay, so but anyways, this is just done once, so it should not matter. But anyways, I'll show you maybe with set interval also. So right now I'm just doing one thing, that let's just print this thing. Let's just print this thing. What is this this element? Okay, and you'll see that this thing is null, okay, and it is text. Okay, just give me 1 second. So after 2 seconds, this thing is here, okay. So just let me print here also for the time being. So this is fine. Yeah, okay. So what happens that see, you can see, let's print both of them. So what is happening is that you can see that this, let's say I do this solid equal to or something like that, okay. So what is happening is something like this, that see, initially it was null. First time it rendered, so first time when it rendered, what was this was null. Later when component did mount, after render, now this thing is available, the actual reference is available, right? So in component did mount, this is now that input text, right? After 2 seconds, what I'm doing, I'm toggling, right? So this true has become so this false has become true. This false has become true, and that's why this will re-render, because anytime you change some state, then it re-renders. When it re-renders, then you see that at that point of time, this thing is true, right? This thing is true, and that's why see, when it is re-rendering, that point of time, initially only at the first render, this has become input, and that's why whether this is true or false does not matter, but this thing is now input element. But what if I so for simplicity, why not, let's do one thing. Rather than set timeout, let's have a button, normal button, and on click of that we will change that, okay. So so let's say we have a click, and on click we will have some handler, and that will be defined on the class itself, and that handler can be, let's say, defined here, okay. And in that handler, let's put this, so that would be somewhat more intuitive, okay. Okay, so that is fine, that is fine. Now you see the problem, that when you click, so let's have a, you see the problem, when you click, then actually it changed, but this thing which is being printed is actually you understand what is the problem. When it is rendered, before that we are printing, right? A better thing would be that when it is update, after it is updated, this is rendered, then I should print. That would be a better estimation of that, what the current should be there, right? So rather than this, what we are going to do is that let's print here, let's just put a whatever, and let's have another component did update also, because if anything changes, then we want to do here, and let's, for simplicity, let's do b, just to show you that sometimes, so you can see that right now, first time it rendered, then it is like a, because it is component did mount, and when I clicked, then it became b, because now component did update is being called, okay. But anyways, the whole point of showing this, that if you keep on clicking, then every time it is re-rendering, and that's why this is printing, right? What if I change this thing, which means that the whole point of doing this exercise was that, what if based on this value, based on this dot state dot flag value, what if something else is rendering? So let's say I'm saying that if this dot state dot flag, if this thing is true, then I will render something else I will render something else, which means that, let's say I say that if it is false, then this thing will be rendered, and if it is true, okay, then a div will be rendered, okay. Why not? And then this div can be I don't know. So let me see, there will be not two question mark, there will be single question mark, and here we have an anything, so let's say Ola, and okay, so I just changed everything. I'm talking about this thing. The whole point, that button is separate thing, button has nothing to do with it, just by mistake it went there. The point was that if this dot state dot flag is true, then your ref is now rendering with this div, and if it is false, then it is rendering with this div. Now you see, first time when and let's move this here for clarity. Okay, so first time when it rendered, then obviously my thing will be false, this flag thing will be false, right? Flag thing is false. If this flag thing is false, then this thing is being rendered, and then we are seeing that this ref thing is pointing to input. Okay, now when I click, then you see that now this ref thing is pointing to div. Now if I click again, then you can see that again it became false, and that's why this ref thing is pointing to input, and then again it is pointing to div. The whole point of this exercise is that this ref can change also on the fly. Okay, it is not some hard bound to something. Okay, so yeah, now since this is done, we can just remove this altogether. But I just wanted to focus one more thing, is that if we have something like this, then we so right now you can see that there is like there is no text here, right? But you can also have something like default text, default value. Okay, default value is equal to, let's say, hello there. So this is something I have not discussed till now. The input in React is somewhat different, not much different, is somewhat different than HTML. So you can understand that this default value or something was not there earlier, right? This is like something called uncontrolled component, and that we'll discuss, I think, in the next video. The point is that this sort of thing is used as a default value, which means that if you don't pass anything, then you can use default value, and then that will be available. So you can see that right now I'm not using, let's say, focus. Okay, so you can see that this hello there is there, but it is not focused, right? And if I do something like this, okay, then you can see that now it is focused. But just the difference is that now something is already written there, and then you can obviously edit that, whatever you can edit, that is fine. But the idea is that it starts with that value, that is the default value. If you have not given any value, that is the value it will start with. Okay, and right now I just did this el.focus on component did mount, right? You could very well do something like that. Let's say some button is there, initially it is not focused, some button is there, and if you click, then it becomes focused. So what you will do, that if you click, then on the handler of that click you will do the same thing. Okay, and again, now if you understand the syntax, then I need not write this whole big thing. You understand that you could write like directly like this also. This dot my ref dot current will be reference to that thing, and dot focus, so this will directly work also. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, so you could have done this on click also, that is fine. Now that is fine that we are able to do this sort of thing in class based component. Okay, but how can we achieve almost the same thing in function component? Okay, so in function component, okay, so let's clear this up. This state is not needed. So yeah, so lot of explanation has gone into it, but basically what has happened till now, we have added a reference here. That ref I used in some element, let's say in input element here, and then as the component mounted, I called this and got the focus. These are just 3 lines basically we did till now. Okay, now we could do the same thing here also. Let's try doing that. So instead of class component, let's use function component. And so right now you can see that nothing is there. Now let's have a similar thing here, but now you can understand that there is nothing called this dot my ref. however, my ref can be a variable as such, right? And what we are going to do is that my ref is equal to, there is something called use ref. You might have used in some of the earlier videos, but the idea is same. Like instance fields are there, these are also used to create instance fields, but actually the name comes from this only, this reference only, right? DOM reference. So actually this is used for dual purposes in functional component. Actually this name is used for creating a DOM reference, right? But there is another use case also in functional component where you can use this to create class fields also. For that purpose, you might have seen this use ref hook in one of the earlier videos as being used as field, sort of field, like field class based field like property simulation inside a function component. But here we are going to see that how to actually use as a proper ref, and there also we saw that dot current is there, right? Similarly here also it will be like dot current. What happens is that now this name can be anything, right? This name can be my input, this name can be text input, whatever. You know that what is going to happen if I don't pass anything, then this is going to be what? This is going to be null. Let's pass it null so that like proper thing is simulated, right? Let's remove this for now so that it will be better to understand, right? Now just have a use effect. Inside use effect, I'm trying to simulate a component did mount sort of thing. So let's have empty dependency array, and inside that let's print this thing. So this thing is my ref. Okay, so you can see that this thing is null. Okay, and if you do something like this, then you will see that this thing is now input element. So that is exactly, which means that this is now exactly working like here, which means that if I simply do myref.current, earlier it was null, now I'll get some input element, right? That is fine. If I have got the input element, then in order to do focus, all I need to do is this, isn't it? And you will see that I have achieved the focus. Okay, so in this way you can simulate exactly the same behavior like here in function component also.